Good morning everyone, today we are going to be talking about the Relik weapon, specifically the Katana, as well as its potential, how it looks, how it works, and all that jazz. But first of all, if you're new to the channel, I upload NGS content daily, so if you do play this game, I would really appreciate a subscribe as it really helps out the channel. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin the video. So the very first thing I want to talk about is the Relik weapons work very different compared to all of the other 5-star weapons. So for example, the Gregia, the Gothica, the Quintel, as well as the Fivla series, all of those weapon series have the same potential. So for example, if we go to the Gregia weapons, you have Fighting Spirit unit, right? So every single Gregia weapon will have the same potential of potency plus 20%, as well as potency against boss enemies plus 4%, regardless of what weapon type you're using. And if we look at the Gothica weapons, you have Reinvigorating unit, which gives us potency plus 23%, PP plus 10 when you hit an enemy while under 50% PP, but has a 15-second cooldown. So all Gothica weapons will have Reinvigorating unit as their potential, regardless if you're using a rod, a blade, a wired lance, whatever, it doesn't matter what weapon type, it will always have the same potential. However, the Relik weapons are different in the sense that each separate weapon has its own different potential. Now there are a lot of overlapping ones. For example, the Katana over here has Explosive unit, which gives potency plus 21%, causes area damage when you hit an enemy, but there is a 10-second cooldown. All of the fighter weapons also have Explosive unit. How this potential works is when you hit an enemy, there will be an AoE explosion around your character. This is super important. It's around your character and not at the enemy you hit. And I am pretty sure even if you multi-weapon with a ranged weapon, it will still work the same way. So for example, let's say that I multi-weapon this katana with a bow, and I use my bow and I shoot an enemy. The explosion should be around me and not where the arrow impacts. So just keep that in mind. Unfortunately, I haven't tested it because I don't have a Relik bow, and Relik bows are very expensive, so I can't afford it. But that is what I think will happen, mainly because when I cast Lotus Lightning, you can see Lotus Lightning has a very long range. And so when I'm hitting an enemy very far away, the explosion is still around me. And that's why I feel like even if you use a ranged weapon, the explosion will still blow up around you and not based off the impact or where you hit the enemy. So I'm going to show you it right now. So here is the boss. We're going to walk up to it and Lotus Lightning. Boom. You see? Right there, the explosion did around 400 damage. So the explosion is very, very strong. It's about 200% of your weapon potency or something. Basically, the TLDR for this explosion is you can just treat it like a free PA. It's basically a free photon art every 10 seconds that just deals additional damage. And keep in mind that it does not proc until you actually hit something and deal damage. So for example, let's say you're breaking boxes. If you're breaking boxes, it doesn't, it won't proc, it won't waste your 10-second cooldown because you're not actually dealing damage to like an enemy per se. So it only procs when you maybe hit a tame, when you hit an enemy, stuff like that. When you deal damage, that is when it will proc. And you can see there, it procced again, broke his foot. And basically, it's a really fun weapon when you are a melee class specifically, because you're in the thick of things anyway, so the extra AoE is really, really powerful, really, really strong, and just having that extra free PA is super duper nice. So you can see here that most of the time that as a Braver, I am mainly countering, because countering just does so much more damage. As you can see here, you know, that was 800 damage from just this counter. This is what, 1,200 from that counter, and it also proc the explosion, which is really, really nice. So yeah, 1,600. So basically having a Relik weapon doesn't change the way you play the class. It's still going to be the same way. It's just a super big quality of life thing because you've got all these explosions, all of these extra things happening in the background, which will help you deal extra damage. And I actually got a new record there, 1 minute and 43 seconds. Cool. So before we talk about the subject of are Relik weapons worth it, because I know a lot of you guys have that question, I want to talk about my augmenting first, because I know a lot of people are very interested or have questions about why I use these specific augments. So we're going to go over them. So the first augment I used was Addy Death Mel over here, which gives me potency floor increase by 2.5% as well as melee potency plus 2.5%. The reason I'm using this is because it is a very powerful augment. How is it powerful? First of all, it increases your melee weapon potency, so you just deal more damage in general, which is really nice. But second of all, it also increases the floor potency. So what is floor potency? When you go to the second tab over here, you can see damage adjustment. This is the range of damage you can deal when you hit an enemy. So you can see that I can deal from 78.4% of my maximum damage all the way to 100% of my maximum damage. So this is the damage range. So when I'm hitting an enemy, all the numbers are not static. There is a range of damage that I deal based on each hit, and this is pure RNG. So by increasing the potency floor, this range gets higher. So by default, this is actually 75%. As we can see here on my Gregia katanas, you can see when I go to page 2, damage adjustment 75 to 100% because I don't have any augments over here which boosts floor potency. Thus, by having Addy Death Mel over here, I am increasing my overall damage by 2.5%, and I'm also increasing the minimum amount of damage that I can deal. Instead of dealing 75% of my total weapon damage, I can now deal 78.4%, which is much better. Now for all my smart mathematicians out there, you guys are going like 75 plus 2.5% does not equal 78.4. Where is this number coming from? And this is actually because of my armor. As you can see here, I have Alt Secreta 3, which gives me an additional potency floor increase of 2%. So I don't exactly know how the conversion works based off armor and weapon. So yeah, math. I'm sure there's smarter people out there that can figure this out, but this is why my damage adjustment here is 78.4% instead of like a very clean cut number. I don't know why, to be perfectly honest with you. However, this debunks one of the myths which I took a very long time to figure out, and that is even if you have potency floor increase on your armors, it will apply to your weapon. I think I made an old video like 6 months ago or 5 months ago where I said that it did not apply. That is incorrect. Yeah, I'm redacting that video, I'm trashing it, and basically this is the newfound information. Next up is Gigasmite 3. Gigasmite 3 is very simple, very straightforward. I wanted more HP and I wanted more melee potency, so boom. Very expensive capsule, but I wanted it. Then next up is Dust Soul 3. Again, I want more HP, I want 2.5% melee potency. Dust Soul 3, very simple. Last but not least, Alt Secreta 3. The reason why I want Alt Secreta 3 is because it gives potency plus 2%. So this is all potency. So as you can see when we go to page 2, it gives me melee damage, gives me range damage, and gives me tech damage, all plus 2%, which is really nice. Also gives me potency floor increase of 2%. So you can see now that this is now 4.5%, right? Because we've got potency floor increase of 2% here, and there's another 2.5% over here. However, if you're looking at this, you know, that doesn't make any sense. And then I've got my armor that also has Alt Secreta, so I don't know how math works. I'm sure smarter people out there in the comment section below can tell me why. And that concludes the augments that I'm using on my relic weapon. Now, why did I choose these specific augments? It was actually very simple. I was like, I got a relic weapon, it's got a Fix a Fatale 4, which is damage oriented. Says, you know, it gives me 12% crit rate, so I might as well just invest fully into damage. Now for my armors, I'm going to build something a little bit different. I want to go Alt Secreta 3 on all 3 pieces, just because, you know, it's just good damage. But on top of that, I also want to build a little bit tanky by putting that Dreadkeeper 3 as well as Form Soul 3. That is my plan for now. Just a lot of damage reduction so that I can survive like 2 to 3 hits from Gigantics, because at the moment Gigantics can really ruin my day when they just accidentally hit me or something. And it's also really easy to steal aggro now because, you know, the relic weapons are stupidly strong, and I've also got a freaking Fix a Fatale 4, so it is extremely easy for me to steal aggro, which isn't really good for me. Well, it depends. If I know the boss, it's good for me, but if I'm fighting like a gigantic where one mistake equals death, I kind of want some sort of safeguard around that. Or you know, you guys could just tell me to get good, and yeah, if I just got good and countered everything forehead, then I'll be fine. But I know a lot of you guys didn't come here to hear me ramble on about my build and my plans on what I want to do with my character. You guys are here with the age-old question of, is it worth farming for or buying a relic weapon? The TLDR is, the relic weapon is really nice to have. It's a very shiny toy. If you get it, you're gonna have a ton of fun, but it is not necessary, right? It's a luxury item. If you have it, great, you're gonna have a lot of fun, you're gonna blast through everything will die, right? You will destroy everything and crush it to dust, and it will be a very enjoyable experience. But you can also do that with a Gregia weapon. If you have a Gregia weapon with a fix of 3 or above, you will also crush all the content very easily. However, what I want to bring to everyone's attention is not the Gregia weapons, but actually the Tempesta weapons. The Tempesta weapons are coming out on January 12th, and I 100% encourage everyone to pick up one of every weapon, or at least the ones that you play very often. The reason for that is because the Tempesta weapons are of the wind element. If you are running purple triggers in Retem, all of those gigantics are weak to wind. So by having the Tempesta weapons, you're going to get a lot more elemental downs, and that just by itself is going to give you a lot more DPS than just having a relic weapon. If you have a relic weapon, yes, your DPS is going to be higher when you hit something, right? But in the long term, if you get an elemental down, everyone gets to do big, huge DPS without the boss running around, moving around, and the threat of killing you. So I feel like the Tempesta weapons are definitely a very strong contender to the relic weapons. They are definitely going to be better than the Gregia weapons if that's what you're thinking, at least throughout the event where there's a lot of mobs weak to wind. They are 100% going to be better than the Gregia weapons. Their damage might be a bit lower than the Gregia weapons, however, just because of the elemental advantage, it's already worth it just because of that reason alone. And on top of that, there will also be the capsules, which will give you additional potency plus 2.5% to enemies which are weak to the wind element, which just so happens to be like every boss during the event. And for all my friends that run purple triggers, the gigantics are naturally always weak to wind anyway, which is very strong because you can replace your Might 3 with that and it gives you actually 0.5% more weapon potency. Or if you're on a budget, you can use Might 3 plus that capsule, and already that's 4.5% potency, which is really good. And then you can just fill it up with whatever you need. Because if you look over here, look, these capsules over here, they're only giving 2% potency, while that event one, where you get for free for literally playing and just getting seasonal points, gives you 2.5. So that's 0.5% more potency, more damage, very nice. So in conclusion, are the relic weapons worth it? If you get it from a drop, 100% worth it because you got it for free. Especially if it's a weapon that you actually use, I would 100% recommend you guys to use it. Sure, you can sell it now for a fat profit, and that's perfectly fine as well. It really depends on your personal enjoyment in the game. Does getting new fashion make you happier? Or do you like to be strong and you like to destroy mobs? It's really based on personal preference, because some people play this game for fashion and that is their main driving force. If that's the case, sure, sell the relic weapon that you got, make that money, and buy all the fashion you want. However, if you prefer to kill a lot of mobs and you like to grind like myself, then maybe consider keeping the relic weapon because you're definitely going to get a lot of enjoyment out of the weapon. Or if you're super unsure about it, you can play around with the relic weapon first, fully upgrade it, put all the augments, play around with it first for like a week or two. If you don't like it, sell it. If you like it, keep it. There's a lot of flexibility. It's not do or die here, okay? It's very fluid, very simple. However, if you don't have a relic weapon, it's okay. The Gregia weapons are very strong as well in their own right, and it's a lot cheaper to use a Gregia weapon and multi-weapon that versus a relic weapon. If you want a multi-weapon, a relic weapon, it's a pain in the butt. Like even myself, I cannot bring myself to multi-weapon this relic weapon simply because the wired lances cost so much. Okay, they went down in price significantly. They were like 12 mil for like 2 days. I could have bought it, but I am broke. I have 14 million right now, and if I were to drop 12 mil on the multi-weapon, I would only have 2 million left, and that is out of my comfort zone. I like to have at least 5 to 10 mil as a buffer before I purchase anything, just in case something comes out, just in case something that I really want. So please don't stress too much if you don't have a relic weapon. The new Tempesta weapons coming out in January 12th are equally as good. You're going to have a great time using those weapons as well. They're going to get a lot of elemental downs, you're going to beat the crap out of the bosses, and it's going to be a jolly good time. Okay? Special thanks to all the members for supporting the channel. It really means a lot to me. Thank you again. But yeah, that's all I wanted to cover in today's video. Hopefully you guys found it helpful. If you did, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye!
What can I say except you're welcome? For the heals, the boosts, the